This is Donald Parham. You're listening to Chargers Unleashed, part of the LAFB Network. Stay jiggy.
Hey, this is Chris from the second, Chargers outside linebacker, and make sure you check out Chargers Unleashed.
Shout out to Chargers Unleashed, Sebastian Joseph Day, you know the vibes, we outside.
You checking in with Mike Williams from the LA Chargers, and you're tuning into Chargers Unleashed.
You're listening to the Chargers Unleashed podcast with your host, Dan Wolkenstein and Jake Hefner.
Welcome to another edition of Chargers Unleashed. Jake Hefner and Dan Wolkenstein here with you from the LAFB Network. Today's show, of course, will be brought to you by Bet Online, Charger Bolt Family, and Rockset Solid Sports Memorabilia. If this is your first time tuning into the show, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Dan Wolkenstein. 2 more sleeps.
Say it with me.
48 hours. We're this close.
We're so close
to the 2023 NFL Draft. It is right around the corner, literally, figuratively, whichever metaphor you want to use for it. It is almost here. And we have one more dueling mock draft to go through, my friend, and that is the subject of today's show. Dan and I have obviously gone through 3 dueling mock drafts over the last several weeks. Whoever is keeping score at home, I have no idea who's been winning between Dan and I. I know a lot of people said consensus that he got the knockout punch in round 1, and then it seemed a little bit closer on mock draft 2 and mock draft 3. So this is the final mock draft. Again, we're going to try to keep this as realistic as possible. We know that always these rankings are very different, and some players that may land in certain situations that realistically won't be there. But Dan and I are going to make our selections accordingly, and we're going to give you 7 rounds. 7 rounds in this mock draft. And Dan, I believe there's also an additional stipulation that we're throwing in here as well, but we'll get to that in a second. First off, how are you, sir? I know you're itching just as much as I am with draft fever right around the corner. Give it to me. You can't contain yourself right now. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see Dan's excitement, but let me have it, Dan. How are you feeling?
I'm going full Rocky mode. I went and worked out. I'm good to go. Ready to slay this one. 7 rounds. Fun stipulations in it. We'll also talk about the top before we get into that. Some of the late breaking news that we heard from A1 general manager, Tom Telesco, yesterday in his kind of pre-draft presser with some interesting nuggets. But I'm feeling great. I'm getting a little nervous, getting a little excited, obviously, for what transpires here in a couple days over the weekend. But probably more so, Jake, which I don't know if this is even possible. I'm more excited that I get to do it with you live Thursday at the Hefner residence. It's a tradition unlike any other, and grateful for you. Grateful for what we're about to do. Come 48 hours. Wow. Yeah. How are you doing, my friend? I feel like this is like the calm before the storm, if you even want to call it calm.
It is the calm before the storm, and I know everything's leading up to Thursday, and Thursday is just going to be wild, crazy. LAFB is coming to the residence. We are having the entire LAFB represented. And for about an hour and a half, 2 hours before the draft kicks off, from I want to say between 2 and 4, we'll be going live, basically just breaking down every single thing that we can related to the NFL draft, related to the Chargers, obviously. It's going to be a lot of fun. Libations will be endured. Food will be consumed. And it's going to be a fun Thursday to lead up to an even better weekend. Cannot wait for that. Dan, real quick before we jump into this mock draft and before we jump into the actual draft come Thursday, there's one thing that we have that we are announcing tomorrow that we have to remind everybody that if you have not entered this yet, make sure to do it right now because we are announcing the winner tomorrow, guys. If you have not seen it on our Twitter account, we are giving away a signed, authentic, custom Keenan Allen jersey. Make sure to follow the rules in the Twitter below. Dan, remind them what the rules are, please.
All you got to do, subscribe on YouTube, and I believe on Twitter, retweet. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, he's got to share and comment below with your screenshot of your subscription to our Chargers Unleashed YouTube. With that, you got a chance to win custom powder blue Keenan Allen signed Chargers jersey. Jake, over or under, little preview. How many first-round quarterbacks?
Give me a different position. That's too easy, Dan. That's too easy. Give me a different position.
Over or under? how many running backs go in round 1 in 2 days? And I'll put the line at over or under 1.5.
This is an interesting question because some people started coming out, and this is the best part about
it's getting juicy.
leading into this week, is especially like the last week before the draft, is that here come like, the wild news and ideas and bold predictions that just come out of left field that just really just kind of make you go, what? There was talk last week, I'm not sure if you heard this, that people had possibly 3 running backs going in the first round. It's like, and all of a sudden, what? When we've heard all these trends about you don't take running backs in the first round, that's a little bit too bold for my taste. But there are people, we definitely heard this, that had Jamyrr Gibbs ranked above Bijan Robinson. What executives are talking like this all of a sudden?
I mean,
so some people have a first round grade on Jamyrr Gibbs.
Yep.
So
I put over under 1.5. What are you putting?
I'm still gonna take the under on it.
Watch Jamyrr Gibbs go to the mother effing Chiefs.
Here's where you know that there is a good possibility that this could go the over. If Bijan Robinson does not make it out of the top 10,
under.
Well, no. I'm saying if Bijan Robinson does not make it out of the top 10, there is a good chance that you may see another running back go at the tail end.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay.
So on that note, on that wild note, to kick us off here, I want to remind everybody that BetOnline remains your number one source for all of your betting, sports betting needs this season. Always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends over at BetOnline. Always the fastest and easiest ways to bet on all of your favorite sports. Head on over to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Just remember to use that promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Jake, so Tom Telesco had a press conference yesterday. And of course, didn't lie once, shared all of his cards.
Oh, yeah. No subtlety. No subtlety at all.
Lion season for all 31 GMs except for the Chargers. No, we're kidding. Did you get any takeaways from the press conference, draft-wise specifically?
Draft-wise? Well,
because we know we'll talk about the J.C. Jackson thing in a sec, which is great news for those who have not heard. J.C. Jackson is looked at optimistically by Tom Telesco to possibly be ready to go by training camp, which is bonkers.
It is bonkers considering the injury that he had. It truly would be amazing if that ends up happening. But we do have to remember, while it's good to hear that from Tom Telesco, the history of this team reporting on injury statuses has not been the most accurate. So It's nice to hear something like that. Let's revisit it when we get closer to June.
Time will tell in 3 months.
But Dan, to your original question, as far as things that he said draft-wise, Tom, I will say this. Tom does a very good job at staying consistent and keeping everything that he possibly can close to the chest. I think the only thing that he really decided to blabber on for and, go off on a tangent was the tight end class and basically just describing how deep it was. Other than that, it was very much subtlety, whether it was about the wide receiver group and when you might target it, when it came to trading down, what your strategy is upon that. Again, he does whether we like it or not, he does a very good job at keeping things as confidential as possible. So to that note, once again, when it comes to the draft, we still really don't know what the hell is going to happen when the Chargers are on the clock at 21.
Yeah, and Tom Telesco's no dummy. There's nothing he was going to say in that press conference that was going to allude to anything, to tip his cap to anything.
Nobody should have expected it.
Yeah, so when people were upset that he said, I want a tight end that blocks and catches, I was actually kind of pleased that he said something.
Who doesn't?
Right, exactly.
Who doesn't?
So it was pretty funny. Jake, you ready?
I'm ready for this, man. One more mock draft for the books in 2023. Let's do it.
I feel good about this one. All right, so final dueling mock draft. Jake, the one stipulation, one little wrinkle we're going to put in here to make this a little fun is each of us will have the opportunity for one trade back. Just one. You choose when. But at the end of the day, we're going to go ahead and see who is the better mock drafter. Who is the better digital? Tom, so let's go. Without further ado, Jake, would you like to start or would you like me to start?
I forget who started it last time, Dan. I think you did. I will go ahead and I will kick it off this time.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, without further ado, Jake,
I'm gonna be greedy today. Give me the first one.
Okay. And are you ready?
Yes. So,
Jake,
so as you can see here, so Dan initiated both drafts, as you can see on the left and the right. Dan, I'm assuming I'm going to be on the left.
Sure.
Okay. And very different, very similar to results as far as players who ended up falling to 21. Obviously, Bijan Robinson's there. For some reason, Will Levis lasted all the way to 21. There were updated odds this morning, if you saw it, that Will Levis has an odds-on favorite to be the second quarterback take. I have no idea where these odds in Vegas are coming from right now, but it's wacky stuff right now.
Monopoly money, it seems like.
Brian Branch, we have gone on this show on a tangent talking about the ultimate secondary chess piece that you could put here along with another ultimate secondary chess piece in Derwin James. Zay Flowers, who between him and Bijan are definitely the popular names as it relates to the Chargers selecting at 21. But Dan, you said the stipulation, and I've been asking for this for 20 years. And if the Chargers are going to execute a trade back, if they don't do it in the first round, I just don't see them executing another trade back. It would just be, it's been hard enough just trying to get Tom Telesco to trade back in the first place. So if he doesn't do it in the first round, it's hard pressing to me to say that he would do it in any other rounds after that. So I'm going to look at the trade scenarios that we currently have right now. Let's see what we got.
2 offers. From Indianapolis, they're offering you number 35 and 221 for your 21st.
Okay, let's get out of that. That's an aggressive move by the Patriots to come all the way up like that. But that's not Bill Belichick's style. That is not Bill. No, so I'm gonna axe that one as well.
Okay. Your only offers.
That's all I got?
That's all I got.
Oof.
Which I'm not doing either of this.
Well, then. Yeah, I can't say I would take either of those offers if I'm trying to stay as realistic as possible. I mean, it's nice you get an extra second-round pick, but moving all the way back, I can't do that with the way that the board has fallen to me. So
you would not. So let's say Bill Belichick did this. You're getting 46, 76, 135. You're getting a crap ton of picks.
Second, third, fourth, 2 sixes, and a 2024 fourth. I mean, this is remember, this is Bill Belichick. This isn't Mike Ditka. So I just highly doubt that a trade like this would actually be possible coming from him. So I'm not going to roll with this. Right. I thought I was going to trade, but apparently I'm not going to, given what my offers were. So in that circumstance, Bijan Robinson, Michael Mayer. Scroll down a little bit for me, Dan. Addison, Branch, Zay Flowers.
All your guys are on the board at this point. Except for Nolan Smith's probably the other one.
That would be the one outlier that if you were to fall there, this would be a slam dunk for me. Well, under the circumstances, Dan, he's there. I have said my piece about Bijan and the circumstances that if the Chargers were to stick with that pick and select him, what that would do for you from a luxury standpoint to be great. How it impacts the rest of your draft, it means a hell of a lot of luck has to fall for you to prioritize the other positions of need. So we'll see what this does for me. Dan, you're on the clock now.
All right. So again, I have similar guys available. Trade offers are from San Francisco, which I'm not going to take, so I'm not going to worry about that one.
Third.
Woo! Bills I might take. Bills I would get a 27 and 59, which honestly, that's probably it right there. Vikings, I get it. Nope, nothing happening
No.
there. Not doing San Francisco. Yep. I'm accepting this one in a heartbeat. I'm ignoring the 4th and the 5th round picks I get in 2024 because I don't think that necessarily matters. So let's just say those aren't even there.
So you go back 6 spots, pick up an additional second. I think this is personally, I think it's over the value of what realistically could be presented by the Browns. So I think this is a great offer.
And what did you know? At pick 26, the one before the Chargers, Jamyrr Gibbs is picked.
Did your board even move, man? Bijan Robinson is still there. Will Levis is still there.
Yep, I lost.
I barely even saw any names move on that board at all.
Let's see. The ones who left were you saw. Oh, who was it that left? No, it was the receiver. Quentin Johnston left.
Well, then
Michael Mayer left. Brian Branch left. Zay Flowers left.
I know what you would do if this was the scenario presented to you, obviously, but come on. Let's try to keep it as even keel as possible here.
All right. So I'm not going to, but see,
I mean, conventional wisdom, would you select Bijan Robinson if he was there at 27? 100%. Absolutely. There's no debate there.
Of course.
But it's hard enough for me to predict that he's going to be there when the Chargers selected 21, let alone if the Chargers were to trade back with Buffalo and he's still there on the board at 27. So in that circumstance, Dan, I mean, hey, this is your mock draft. So you do what you would want to do. But, we don't live in fantasy land, Dan.
The thing that's tripping me up is Jamyrr Gibbs would totally be my pick here. But of course, Dallas took him instead. So,
hey, Jerry Jones must have been one of those executives who had Jamyrr Gibbs, rated above Bijan Robinson in that circumstance.
All right. Well, whatever. I'm going to go. Let's see. Who do we have left? Corner, Emmanuel Forbes, edge. I've got Will McDonald there. I might go Will McDonald. I want to be realistic. Just no way the Cowboys pass on him. But I'm just going to say he's gone. I'll go Will McDonald's probably the guy I'm looking at right now. Knowing I had another pick.
Got an additional second.
Yeah, I could go Dalton Kincaid. I'm wondering if either of those are going to be there, but I doubt. You know what,
dude? The way that your mock draft has played out, it wouldn't surprise me if any of those guys get selected. So I'd say your chances right now are pretty damn good.
Who are the edges available? Yeah, I'll go Will McDonald.
This is hilarious because if you were just looking at either one of the screens, you would have thought that I would have been the one to select Will McDonald and Dan would have been the one that would select Bijan Robinson. But funny how the tables turned a little bit.
Yeah. Jake, you are actually, I'll just do, no, you're on the clock. Go ahead.
Okay. Let's see here. What do we got? Okay. What are we looking at? So BJ Ojulari has fallen to 54. Okay. Show me the edge class. Because remember, I took Bijan Robinson. I took the luxury pick. Now I have to kind of see how the board has fallen to me. Okay, so BJ Ojulari, Derek Hall. It's not bad for targeting the edge class. Let me see what wide receivers have fallen that are still there at 54. Cedric Tillman's still there. Marvin Mims is still there. Tyler Scott's still there. I've said it before, and I will reiterate it and say it again. The emphasis for the Chargers to target edge in this class. And whether that is in round one or not, they have to target it within their first 2 picks. They just have to. It's hard for me to think about a world where they could possibly target edge after that. You'd have to have some severe luck with a certain edge player falling to you in the 3rd round for that if you chose to put it off that long. So in that circumstance, with the way that the board has fallen to me, I am going to target the edge. And I am going to select. I'm going to select BJ Ojulari here.
All right, on the board, McDonald already as a Charger. Again, an additional second round pick, one at 54, one at I think is 59. So I got 2 picks here pretty close to each other. Zach Charbonnet, Devon Achane available. Cedric Tillman could be a fun one. Tight end, I can go Sam Laporta or Tucker Kraft. I like Tucker Kraft. Sam Laporta would be interesting. Corner, Darius Rush, Garrett Williams. No. Jack Campbell's still there. Can you imagine Chargers fans if they went linebacker in round 2? Oh my gosh. That would be wild.
It would it would just be like a Twilight Zone episode. Because what did we just witness this offseason and during free agency? And to come around with a response like that, it would definitely be something that would have to be played on the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, that'd be wild. You know what? I think I'm going to go Tucker Kraft here. Although, yeah.
Honestly, your choices here between Laporta and Kraft are it's money either way, in my opinion here.
Yeah.
But I know, but Kraft's got that athleticism that you really like.
Yep. All right. So I went Tucker Kraft. Now, again, I'm back again at 59, and the receivers are all still there. I feel like I got to go with one of these two. Cedric Tillman. Oh, see. Here's my thinking. There aren't many Cedric Tillman archetypes in this draft, and I think the Chargers could go with one of those as a kind of a future insurance policy, if you will.
Keep talking.
Marvin Mims, Tyler Scott, Tank Dell, like all these guys, I think could be available as kind of the speed option. Jaden Reed, Jonathan Mingo. Like there's so many receivers, but a lot of them are not Cedric Tillman archetypes. I might get heat for this. I'm going to go Cedric Tillman. And I'm hoping that as I come back around, one of the Mims, Scott, Dell, Jaden Reed are available later. But if not, I still got a lot of options. So Cedric Tillman, my pick. Jake, you are up at 54.
Again, luxury pick Bijan Robinson. We targeted the edge and
85. Excuse me.
Thank you. Bijan Robinson targeted the edge position at BJ Ojulari. Let's see how the board has played out for me. Let's take a look at the wide receiver group. What do we have left on the board right now? Dan's favorite in Nathaniel Tank Dell, Rashid Rice, Jonathan Mingo, who is rocketing up draft boards as it stands right now. Highly doubt that he would be available in the 3rd round with the amount of noise that has come onto him. Tank Dell would definitely be one of the more realistic options, I think, to still be on the board. Let me see how the tight end board has fallen in my draft, Dan. Thank you. Laporta, Tucker Kraft. Okay, I dig that. Again, I don't see either one of those guys. Schoonmaker makes the most sense probably to still be here in round 3. Tucker Kraft and Coons. I'm still going to stick to my guns here. And again, I want to try to keep it as realistic as possible. Dan, I'm going to take your boy off the board right here.
I'm assuming my boy's Tank Dell.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And Jake, wouldn't you know it? Round 3, I've got a chance for Nathaniel Tank Dell as well. Oh, that is sexy.
When you just took Cedric Tillman, but see, here's the luxury of what trading back gives you.
Yep. Pairing Cedric Tillman and Tank Dell together. Or hell, Cedric Tillman and Jonathan Mingo together.
And the Tucker Kraft. What you've already done in your if you were to go that way. 2 tight end and 2 wide receivers consecutively would be
unfortunately I also have unfortunately Garrett Williams, one of my favorite corner fits for the Chargers, is available.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I go back to like what I think is going to impact this team the most.
Correct.
There's no way I'm passing Tank Dell. There's no way. I know people want to talk about wanting to stop folks. But look, if I'm Tom Telesco, I'm giving Justin Herbert all of the ammunition.
Dan, something tells me if you had the option and if the
This
Chargers,
year.
yes, something tells me you may go 3 wide receivers deep in this draft.
I might. One of them's got to hit, right?
Again,
All right.
even in a fantasy world, this is what trading back can bring to you, all kinds of possibilities. Okay, so again, recap, Bijan Robinson for me, BGO Jalari following that, Nathaniel Tank Dell at 85. I'm now on the board at 125 with my 4th round pick. Dan, show me the board here. What do we got? Obviously, show me tight end first. Let's see how that board is played out. Zach Kuntz is still there, which I would very much be intrigued by. Let me see the cornerback market. Thank you very much. Corey Trice, Keyshawn Clark, Cameron Mitchell, Jamyr Brown at safety. Yeah. Go back to the tight end. Go back to the tight end class and give me Zach Kuntz, please. Please and thank you. Very much so. I really like how these first 4 rounds have fallen for me. Even with the Bijan selection at 21, I still like that. That's the type of luck that the Chargers would need if they ended up having to go that route after selecting Bijan. You definitely needed some luck to fall to them at certain players of their need.
All right, so I'm now currently picking at pick 125. 4th round. Let's see what we got. So I could probably go defense here. Jamyr Brown would be a fun one. Oh, Jamyr Brown might be my pick here. Mm-hmm. Oh, Jake, we haven't talked about linebackers that much, but what are your thoughts on Overshown out of Texas?
I mean, I think this would be around the time where first of all, I would start talking about the linebacker conversation because we're now sitting in, what is this, round 4 for you?
Yep.
This is where I would start that conversation. And Overshown being on the board, I think he's a solid player at the linebacker position as far as someone who you could possibly see developing into we'll see if Kenneth Murray still remains in this team, but someone to ultimately replace him. Again, you have to do something to fill that depth beyond Eric Kendricks and Kenneth Murray. It's no guarantee whether or not the Chargers are going to pick up his 5th-year option. We don't know how long Eric Kendricks is going to ultimately remain with this team, if he's going to play the entirety of his contract. So you need some type of insurance policy, and whether you're going to draft it now in the later rounds to hopefully develop it into a starter later on. Again, as we've seen this team, how they prioritize linebacker.
Sold.
There you go.
Sold. Pick by Dan.
The linebacker that you just let walk out the door was also a former 4th round pick. So this would be the time to do it.
Yes, and there are some similarities with a Kenneth Murray and Overshown in terms of their college tape, which I kind of like it. I could see it being kind of one of those insurance policies, depending on how things work out. Jake, you're on the board. Round 5.
So 5th round pick, again, Bijan Robinson, BJ Ojolari, Nathaniel Tank, Dell, Zach Kuntz. So I still have been able to target my top 3 priorities in this draft while also selecting a luxury running back that could possibly set the Chargers up for the next decade. But let's see how the rest of the board has fallen to me because I can go in so many different directions now. Cornerback market, Cameron Mitchell still on the board. Scroll down a little bit for me, Dan. Let me see just who sits beyond that. Blackman. Okay, so there has Sterling Thomas, Valentine. Okay, so there has been a little bit of a run on the cornerback market. Show me the interior of the defensive line. Let me just see what that has. Colby Wooden's still sitting here.
I like
Kobe Turner and Keandre Colburn. Okay, that's starting to stick with me a little bit all of a sudden. Show me the safety group. Brandon Joseph, Daniel Scott, J. Ward, running him. Yeah, there's been a lot of run on the secondary players. That is for sure. And finally, show me the linebackers. I feel like I have to go back to defense here. Ivan Pace Jr. It's like a truck. D. Winters, Ventrell Miller has met with the Chargers. You know what, Dan? I'm not going to lie. The way that the board has fallen to me, and I may not even select the player that you think I'm trying to keep as realistic as I can. Go back to the interior defensive line. Again, we're talking about in the 5th round here, which is just fine to me to prioritize depth along the defensive line. So, Dan, show me real quick, what pick overall is this at the 5th round again for us?
156.
Thank you. 156. Okay. So Colby Wooden here. Again, I don't think he lasts to the 5th round. Kobe Turner, Keandre Colburn. If the Chargers are fortunate and Colby Wooden was sitting there, I think they would really enjoy that. And so will I. So Colby Wooden to shore up a little bit of that defensive line depth that they so badly need to put bodies behind.
All right, I am up. I'm drastically looking at, I got a couple good ones on my options here. At the secondary. So for corner, got Control Clark and Cameron Mitchell, like both of them. Safety, Jay Ward, Ronnie Hickman. I think the cornerback one is the probably bigger need. Control Clark was in my, I think it goes by Trey Clark, was in my top 5 for the Chargers. Best secondary, no brainer for me. Picking him up. You're on the clock, Jake. Round 6. Pick 200. Again, you have gone running back, edge, wide receiver, tight end, and defensive line.
Okay, so I got to start adding to my secondary. And as we have seen from previous drafts, this is when you just take your last year, for example, with Jasir Taylor and DeAndre Leonard, where they targeted cornerbacks last year. And obviously they still need some insurance. And whether we're talking about insurance for JC Jackson coming in this year or beyond that in possibly having to fill in for Michael Davis. So how has the board fallen for me? Darrell Luter, Mekhi Blackman. Scroll down a little bit for me, Dan. Ooh, so Sterling Thomas and Carrington Valentine are 2 names that really jump out to me here.
I like Carrington Valentine.
Carrington Valentine, I'm a big fan of as well. Sterling Thomas, we know that he has met with the Chargers. I think that this would be the realistic area to start thinking about if he was still on the board. I probably would say that his ceiling is maybe around higher than this. But yeah, I think if Sterling Thomas was still on the board at this point in time right now, I think the Chargers would be really happy with that. So target the secondary, Sterling Thomas, that'll be the selection.
All right. I have gone edge, tight end, 2 receivers, linebacker, corner. So at this point, all options are open. I'm kind of thinking BPA here. Who is available? Looks like I still got some corners, at least that they think are available. This is an interesting one. I can kind of go anywhere here. Tight end, I don't really need to go. This could be possibly where they look for their second quarterback. I can go Max Duggan, which probably not going to happen. Safety, Jay Ward is there. Ronnie Hickman's there. Keandre Colburn is there. That is kind of looking fine to me right now. You know, offensive line is another thing too to think about later on for the depth position.
Talk about it.
If they can find a way to get a steal here, I would love it. None of the offensive linemen in terms of tackles are still there, but interior offensive line, I could still get a good one. Oh, McClendon Curtis is there. You know, I was going to go BPA here, and I'm going to go with Nick Broker at a Ole Miss interior offensive line. Again, safety valve in case you need to break glass. Offensive line always could use more depth. That's where I'm going.
All right. Round 7. Like you, Dan, I'm going to take a look at what the offensive line has given me as far as the board goes. Again, we're talking about the 7th round here. McClendon Curtis. John Gaines still here. I mean, come on. This would almost be too easy if this was the case. If for some reason John Gaines dropped to the 7th round, there must have been a last-minute medical check on him, or he was caught. He was caught in a drug-filled situation, and his stock is just plummeting at this point. So, as enticing as this is to me, I'm not going to make the selection of John Gaines because he should not still be here on the board at number 7. So, I'm not going to go that route. But bring me back to the offensive lineman, Dan. Let me just see what, again, it is. Tell me. McClendon Curtis, again, I still expect him to be off the board here. This is interior offensive line that we're talking about here. So let's see. Keeping everything as realistic as possible. Antonio Mafi from UCLA would be another realistic option for him to possibly still be here. Dan, let's see. Yeah, that might be keeping everything as realistic as possible and shoring up a little bit of the offensive line depth a little bit. One last thing, I'm 90% sure that this is going to be the pick. Show me the safeties, because my brain is assuming that the Chargers would hopefully make a signing of a one John Johnson official following the draft so that they wouldn't need to necessarily prioritize this. And I'm not too thrilled about how the board has fallen to me here as it relates to the safety class. So take me back to the interior offensive line, and I will gladly take Antonio Mafi in this circumstance.
All right. Oh, man, I am stuck between a rock and a hard place here. Final round, again, you're looking at round 7. This is just one. You want to take a flyer who you think could possibly strike gold. And my boy Trey Tucker somehow is still there. I've already gone 2 receivers, but
Trey Tucker lasted this long? Come on.
The thing I like about Trey Tucker, honestly, in this scenario, which do I think they're going to go 3 wide receivers deep in this? Probably not. But I think he's a perfect happy medium between Nathaniel Tank Dell and Cedric Tillman. He's in between on size, although I would probably argue he's probably faster than Tank Dell. Quicker, not so much. But Trey Tucker, I think his Brugler came out recently and said he talked to a wide receiver coach who said that people talk about Jalen Hyatt as his fastest, but like this guy's different. And getting him, like, talk about one offseason, switching it up, making a weakness into possibly a strength, and getting Tank Dell and Trey Palmer and Cedric Tillman and Tucker Kraft.
You've gone off the rails a little bit, but you're
Chargers fans would go crazy. They would love this. And a part of me would love it too. Just because, like, honestly, and I know this probably sounds crazy, but like the Chargers desperately need to add weapons and speed and athleticism and quickness. And like, you know, people can get pissed off all they want. They went with a bunch of receivers, but Justin Herbert wouldn't be pissed. He would love it. He'd sign that contract extension immediately if this happened. I'm doing it. I could go running back here. I was thinking about it, but I got stock in Isaiah Spiller. I think he's going to shine this year. At least he's going to show drastic improvement. You already got Joshua Kelly. I think Austin Eckler is going to stay. I'm okay with that. I don't think any of these running backs here are going to be better than those. I think I'm doing it. Yeah, I'm doing it. Before I even say no, I'm going Trey Tucker, the wide receiver out of Nebraska. And, you know, it's interesting. So looking at kind of the final tally, Jake, you got Bijan Robinson, Bijou Ojulari, Tank Dell, Zach Kuntz, Kobe Wooden, Sterling Thomas, and Antonio Mafi.
I personally think I saved my best for last here, Dan.
Best draft for last?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you did good. I think I went for value. I went for Will McDonald at 27. I went Tucker Kraft at 54. So edge, tight end, then receiver, Cedric Tillman, followed by back-to-back picks, Cedric Tillman, and then Tank Dell. DeMarvion Overshone for the linebacker position, helped with depth. Trail Clark at corner. Nick Broker for interior offensive line depth, and then Trey Tucker as a flyer. Hopefully, can do something.
If you guys can't see it at home, there's a big red button that actually is in front of Dan's face, and it just says "fun." And he hit that button multiple times in this draft. That is how he operated.
Yes, and that's how Justin Herbert will operate with Kellen Moore. He's just gonna hit the fun button all time. If they had this offense as it currently stands, and they added the Tank Dell, Cedric Tillman, Tucker Kraft, and Trey Tucker, like, talk about box office. Like, if okay, think about it, Jake. If I'm Tom Telesco and if I'm Brandon Staley and let's say I'm on the hot seat, okay, let's say I got one more shot at this. I'm going down with my guys, and I'm going down with who gives me the best shot at winning, and that's Justin Herbert by a landslide. And I trust him with more weapons than I do adding to defense, maybe adding another running back, whatever. I trust him. And if I go down with the ship and Justin Herbert isn't going to get it done, then I can live with that. So I stand by this. Yeah, this is the fun button, but this is also one that I could, if I was a GM and I'm on the hot seat, that's what I'm hitching my wagon to. More so than the defense to stop, the likes of Josh Allen and Mahomes and whoever else is going to be there. Now we got Aaron Rodgers in the AFC. Like, I'm trying to go toe-to-toe in offense and then let bygones be bygones.
Well, Dan, I hope you enjoyed your 7 rounds in Fantasyland. That's very cute. 3 wide receivers. Somehow, Trey Tucker is the final wide receiver that's taken in Dan's mock draft in the 7th round. Draft rankings be damned, I guess, as it relates to Dan Wolkenstein. 3 wide receivers taken. Would love to see it. Weapons a la Justin Herbert, essentially.
Jake, if you were Chargers fan base, which one of these would you rather have?
Well, it's like asking, hey, would you want more weapons or less weapons for your offense? I think the consensus would be I would want as many weapons as I possibly can get. To each his own, Dan. To each his own.
What would you rather have? Like, yours is, you put your top 5 picks that you made. I don't think you can get better than those. Maybe you can.
I really like the fact that I was pressing the aspect of us both having the luxury of having a trade, being able to execute it whenever we want, and the way that the damn board felt to me and the trade requests that I got were absolute shit. I didn't want to take them, and then I didn't even ended up executing one damn trade when I was just sitting here pounding my chest about it for about 3 seconds. And look, this is one of the things that I have been telling people about the pros and cons of the Bijan Robinson selection. While you know what he can do for you in this offense, if the Chargers were to select him, you're definitely going to need a little bit more luck to have the other positions of need and certain players to those positions of need fall to you in the later rounds if you choose to address your first rounder with a luxury running back, but a very dynamic luxury running back at that. Let's not forget that. So in this situation, it probably panned out the best that I could hope for in that example.
You got some good ones. That's going to do it for our Dueling Mock Draft 4.0, the final one. We are going to have another episode before we get to draft day. We're going to go into our kind of top players, our favorite, our big board, if you will. Not necessarily who is our favorite in terms of 1 through 10 on a big board, but for the Chargers specifically, who we'd like to see the Chargers draft, our top 10s. Doesn't matter what round, our guys. Jake, anything else you want to tell the great friends before we get out of here?
We're this close, man. It's almost here. Just no more mock drafts, no more player rankings. Just bring me to Thursday and let's go to work.
The awesome part is, if you think about it, this time next week, we're talking about who the Chargers drafted and how they could be implemented and what the sky is in terms of limit for these players and this team. Like, that's exciting to me, regardless of what happens. We could talk about potential all day long with actual guys who are on this roster. Jake, we'll do this again here in the next couple days. But until then, you can find Jake at Jake T. Hefner, myself at Dan W. Sports. Shout out to all the Chargers fans viewing, listening all around the world. And we'll talk to you next time on